All right, good morning. What's up? What's up? We're going to break down AMC, Moderna, SPY, and we're going to look at PTON still. Despite it having the big move in the news, it looks great. We are looking at AMC right now. We're going to snap some lines in. We're going to talk about the sentiment, a little bit of what's going on. If you find this stuff useful, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, so every time we upload new content before the market opens, during the market, and after the market, you'll be updated on those videos. Now, when we're looking at AMC, just realize as we went over, we definitely have that flag pattern. We did break out. We are holding above the $50 area, but we are running into some pretty critical lines of resistance. So just remember that as we continue to push with AMC, it is getting overbought. But what does that mean in an overbought market? Just period, end of story. So we just need to understand that there's a greater form of risk when trading breakouts, etc. Okay, now we do have this pattern that's kind of rocking and rolling for us. We had a nice little push up, sideways consolidation. We did play it from here to there yesterday or Friday. Now we did get the pullback, and it does almost look like we're getting like a curve pattern, like it wants to take off again. Now this is a nice resistance line for the stock. Can it put it in? Absolutely. Do people like it? Can it move? Absolutely. But we do want to make sure that we are paying attention to the risk that is involved with AMC. So we do have a 4% gain to the upside. And remember, AMC moves roughly around 5% on a given day, can move much more, but not much less than that. Now, I would still really like it if we are able to pull back into this $50 area. This was a resistance. It would be neat to see it turn into a really nice support. Remember, stocks go up, or they go sideways, or they go down. So a lot of times I'm waiting for the stock to make its move up, pull back, then we can start catching its sideways consolidation in between this area. Remember, this is the area that it had to hold, or it had some struggles breaking out of. So it'd be neat to pull back to that area and give time a little bit, the price action to build some energy to make that move higher. So AMC resistance 53, 58, and then we still have the resistance from the prior high from yesterday. And it might take a little bit to get out of the smaller time frames. This was a topping pattern, topping formation. We held the 50%, super critical. We always want to pay attention to our 50% when breaking down a chart. So from the very top to the bottom, here's that 50% level. We held it. Now we went ahead and put in another move. It may, again, take off. That's something you got to read on the open. It takes a little time to do that. I do not recommend taking the breakouts, but if we were to fail this, get a little peekaboo up from the top, roll back over, it would make complete sense on getting a double top, finding it back down in this area, and being a dip buyer. That's what I would prefer to happen. We also have that 50 moving average to hold us up. Now, looking at mRNA, we are still kind of battling these little support and resistance lines that we painted out just the other day. Now, we do have a top, so it'd be nice to add a resistance to the top and just realize and have that understanding that that is the case. Now we do the exact same thing. Here's the top, here's the bottom, here's that 50%. Look at where all the congestion happened, right around the 50% retracement. And look what's happening again this morning. We have the move up, a potential flag pattern. This is definitely going to act as a resistance. Lots of sellers in a big bar like that. But it can potentially get up above it. If it does and starts building a pattern, then that would be neat to see what is going to happen. I'd be looking at that 15-minute time frame for the price action once it gets above 459 or so. Okay. Now, if it does, I would much rather it come down here and retest our double top. Okay, that it just blasted through on Friday. This is the area that I'd much rather buy it. If it does come all the way back down to 420s, that's fine too, but I think we would get a nice dip buy off the 459, the 440 level. If we can grab that 440 level, that would be great, but just expect that this pattern is now completed, and we'll probably only get a bounce from the overall pattern up to roughly the 50%. Our expectations of going just straight into a breakout and rocking and rolling to the upside is now diminished because of the way it dropped down. Now, if we look at the daily chart, which is so important, if you don't look at your daily charts, you need to. We still have room. We discussed this, about an 8% move from, and actually where price is at, we may have a little bit more room in it. So if we do get it down here, this is where that double top happened. If we are able to pick it up from the double top, that's a 10% move to the upside, and that would be neat. Now, remember, we would lower expectations as far as just being stuck in this area and maybe building another pattern to the upside. If we start breaking above yesterday's or Friday's highs, we do have a lot of room on mRNA to make it up to the top. The tops of these weekly candles will act as a resistance. It will act as a double top forming, and so we want to pay attention to mRNA. Looking at the hourly time frame, it looks like it may want to get rejected and continue lower, but we'll just continue to pay attention. This area needs to hold in order for, and if it curves around and starts to fail, you know that it's coming down at that point. This is the area to be paying attention to in the chart. We hold above it, we are bullish. We get underneath it, we will most likely come down and remain a little bit more on the bearish side of stuff. Now, let's hurry and look at the SPY real fast. SPY is super critical and important. It's the month of September, and September we usually see some bearish action. Bearish action. There we go. Now, we are definitely in a topping formation. We got this curve pattern. If we looked at it on, a reversal pattern to the upside, that would be like an accumulation area for it. Now, we just have a lot of sellers at the top. So we are expecting SPY, if it can't get back above roughly our 448, 449 area to, and I like to use like an area, right? Because this price can definitely spike above. So 449.50 to 449. If we can't get back above that and hold that area and start using that as a support, SPY does have much lower prices. So I am slightly bearish on SPY. So that means that all the other positions that we're looking at taking, we may want to pay attention more on the bearish side and not get sucked into trades, expecting them to continue to rip like they have been. Sentiment could be changing a little bit for us. PTON has been fun for the last couple of days, so I think it's worth kind of checking out. PTON, nice move up. Let's look at the daily chart. We do have some little bit of a topping tail, just because of the area that we're at. Now, can we continue higher? Absolutely. Good news, good company. Just had some problems, so we could definitely move. Now, this is obviously the congestion that we're having to get through. A lot of sellers in there. We've seen it once, seen it twice, and we got to take out those sellers before moving up in the northern direction. Go to a 2-hour time frame, and we have a nice topping formation. Can the stock continue? It can, but let's pay attention to this area. Stocks can move incredible once they do have some news behind them and there's enough people watching them. But what I'd really like to see is PTON to come down a little further to give us the dip buy. Maybe letting this pattern kind of play out and grabbing it at the lows, and then possibly letting a pattern like this form before breaking out, and letting time kind of catch up to price. This one will come down and then curve back up. Is kind of what I'm looking for on PTON. If there's continued strength, we are completely overbought, but that doesn't mean, once again, that we can't continue to move. So the areas to be really watching for PTON, I would take the 50% move from this candlestick to that candlestick, which we have marked out currently. So this area would be the 50% area. We would like to see a bounce off the 50, but 112.30 to 111. I think that would be okay area to take a little bit of a stab at it, but we do need to get over this. So this would be the area that I'm paying attention to, 116.14 for the upside. Look for rejections in here. If we could grab it down, realistically, I'd love to have it under 111 to let those candlesticks start sucking back up on itself, okay? But 108 for me is definitely a dip buy if it can get down there. That's definitely an area where I think we will get a nice pop to the upside, something to be paying attention to. Watch this price action. Remember, this is most likely not going to just start squeezing over these highs and just continue to rock and roll. It will most likely have to build some form of a pattern before moving to the upside. So that would give us areas for these little dip buys to come in. And remember, stocks go up, down, sideways. And remember that there's a greater form of risk when chasing highs, playing stocks that are hot, and trying to buy them too quickly. So we want to be patient. There's always another trade if we miss it. And don't remember, keep the end in mind. It's the process of learning to trade. When you're first starting out, trade to learn and then trade to profit when you have the understanding. Other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next video.